Okay, so Piers Morgan. I want to watch this for a while. I saw clips, and man, this is some next level. Like people just don't get it. Let's see. Piers Morgan, the morning routine. Oh shit. Oh shit. Hmm. Oh god. It got the meme got to him too. Oh man, that's I know how I feel about the banana. That's kind of
Adolescence.
the thing is, honestly, the ice water on your face is actually like that's probably like the only good thing about all of it. Like that shit wakes you up. It's not like I don't know if like it actually does anything, but man, that shit wakes you up. Like I know what the the neurological fucking what do you call it science behind it is, but like man, I cold water really wakes you up. So
On Netflix is currently the biggest show in the world. The drama about a 13-year-old misogynist who kills a teenage girl has been seen by 25 million people so far and was raised by the British Prime Minister in Parliament.
With our children, I've got a 16-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl, and it's a very, very good documentary to watch, or drama. This violence carried out by young men, influenced by what they see online, is a real problem. It's abhorrent.
bro, this is not like you really think that it's the same argument of like video games, it's like, oh well, kids are playing video games so they're more violent, yada yada. Like bro, that has so little to do with that child's actions. Like I don't even know, like what they say, it was a documentary about like the kid who did it, and it's like bro, it has very little to do with social media and stuff like that. Like this is somebody who has very low impulse control because he wasn't taught to have impulse control by his parents, or he actually has like a mental disability, right, where he can't, right? Like what was like the Jordan Peterson ledger, like when he said that it's like most criminals, when they go to jail, they spend like 10, 20 years in there, and many of them don't return to jail because the reason they went to jail is because they had low impulse control, and then they grow out of it by the time they're like in their 30s and 40s, and then they can become more um like a member of society because they can control their impulses. Obviously not everyone, some are just psychopaths and shit, but like many of them, they grow out of that um childish behavior that is basically lack of impulse control. This kid had no impulse control. He's like, I want it now. Like I don't know, maybe he was a very very spoiled or whatever. Maybe he was taught that he should take what he wants, but like it has very little to do, honestly. Like even stuff like Andrew Tate don't teach you. By the way, Andrew Tate literally, and again, plenty of problems with Andrew Tate, don't get me wrong, but like even he says that's like, like you don't need to force yourself on women, focus on yourself, fucking grow yourself, like, make money, whatever, and the bitches will come, right? Once they're yours, like once you have the bitches, then okay, like it becomes a bit more controlling and shit. But like you don't do that to a stranger girl. I mean, you don't do it to in a relationship either. But like I'm just saying that's like this kid's scenario has very little to do with what social media is presenting, but he's gonna blame it on the manosphere for sure.
And we have to tackle it.
It's actually a fictional story, Prime Minister, not a documentary, but as the Prime Minister referenced, it tells the story of young boys who are radicalised by content online. There are references to the manosphere, the Matrix, incels, and red pills. Andrew Tate gets a name check. And that part of the show has sparked an outpouring of commentary about the abject horrors of the internet and the crisis of male role models.
banged by a girl, you sausage.
You're not getting it.
What am I not getting?
Dad, you're not reading what they're doing. It's a call to action by the manosphere. 80% of women are attracted to 20% of men. You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
Bro. This looks like such nonsense. I'm sorry, bro. Like, this part?
You must trick them because you'll never get them in a normal way.
The way, like, I know this is an act, right? But it's like, bro, no kid looks like this at another human being unless they're a fucking psychopath. Okay. Again, if a kid gets this angry where he does that, like, that is like you go to a shrink because he has anger management issues. I wasn't this angry ever as a kid, and they sent me to get checked up for anger management issues because I would feel like my fuse would light really fucking fast. But even then I would not like throw shit and destroy shit, make a mess. Like, I would just be fucking angry. I would usually, like, I'm angry, so I would walk away. Like, because, like, I don't know what I would do. But, like, yeah, but I don't know. This is just, like, low impulse control. And, again, very little to do with social media. This guy just, like, this kid just cannot control himself, okay? He's just spoiled in a way. He's just spoiled.
Well, the Guardian's...
Bro, what is this? Oh my god, bro. This, I swear... Who wrote Netflix Adolescence? Okay, by Jack Thorne and actor Stephen Graham. Jack Thorne. Jack Thorne. I don't know, man. Wonder. I don't know. I don't. It doesn't fit what I thought he would be, but maybe he does. I don't know enough about him, but god damn, bro. And he's not gay, so it's even worse. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. This looks over dramatic. Like the man crying here. Like, bro, when your son is acting, I don't know if this is the father, but like if your son is acting like this, bro, no, you go and fucking smack him. Like, bro, control yourself.
Well, The Guardian summed up the general tone of the reporting with a headline that said, from the police to the Prime Minister, how adolescence is making Britain face up to toxic masculinity. But is it really?
Bro.
Can it not just be a successful drama that references popular culture, as so many do? Critics of the show say it's another version of the same man-bashing narrative that gave rise to the so-called manosphere in the first place. Well, here to debate all this is the host of The Crucible, Andrew Wilson, the radio host, James Barr, the host of Tommy Lahren is Fearless on Outkick, Tommy Lahren, and the host of the Determined Society, Sean Fraser. Welcome to all of you. Andrew Wilson, let me start with you, because look, I've got three sons, 31, 27, 24. I think I brought them up to respect women, to not behave in a misogynist way, and to behave in a pretty decent way generally. But I'm also aware that they've grown up in an era when the likes of Andrew Tate and others have become increasingly dominant in the way that a lot of impressionable young men start to think and view women. And
it's not why Andrew Tate is dominant or like the whole thing is dominant. If you're a kid and you see Andrew Tate, it has very little to do with how he treats women and more to do with his lifestyle. Let's be real. Right? Like, you don't watch, before Andrew Tate, you didn't watch Dan Bilzerian for how he treats women. You watched him to see that he gets pussy and he lives on a yacht, okay? Like, it's the rich and you know, what do you call it? Fuck. Where you have a lot of things. A life of abundance. It has very little to do with the women. Like, especially if you're a kid, that's not really what you think about, right? You just think about like the freedom. Realistically, like, oh man, this looks like it's so much fun. You know, he's on a permanent vacation. That's what is attractive. The women, like, it's like it's a part of it, sure, but it's not that big of a part compared to everything else. Like, yeah, getting bitches is like, you know, is a very like attractive concept for sure, but like that's kind of like where it ends. Right? It's an attractive concept. It's like that's not something you just like a kid would always think about, and it's like, oh well, he like I must be you know, abusing women in order to get women, which by the way no one is even like spreading that message realistically, right? I know, and like, and again, Andrew Tate, say what you want, right? Yes, there's a case against him, trafficking, all that stuff. The kids are not even, don't even like look at that part of Andrew Tate. Like that is like that, like you're looking at it from the perspective of an adult. It's like, oh, he's a misogynist, he sex trafficked, all that, like whatever. Right? You're looking from the perspective of an adult. What the kids see is like, man, it's so cool. He lives like in a huge mansion. He flies around. He always has bitches around him. Yo, that is so cool. They're not investigating into his like fucking criminal record and how he got there. Okay, like that's not what they're looking up to. And all the messages that he has that are the most popular, especially for kids, is go to the gym, fucking work on yourself, get more money, yada yada yada. There's very little of his content that is actually like, unless you dig into it, like the just surface level content of Andrew Tate is improve yourself. Yeah, buddy. Yes, sir. Yep. Equipment, arcanes, longbow. Yeah, there's very little content from Andrew Tate about abusing women. I'll take them. Fuck yeah.
For all
Yeah.
that Andrew Tate can say that is positive about getting fit and being successful and confident and so on, there's indisputably a hardcore streak of misogyny that runs through his veins, which I think has been quite damaging to young men. So I'm
Again,
I'm
young
not-
men are not aware of any of that. Like it doesn't. It's not at all. You wanted 5, right?
all in either way here, but I can certainly see the arguments. Where do you sit?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that this so I watched the show and it just goes through a typical feminine view, right? So all of these things are always through the prism of the feminine. So young boys, they don't do well in school. They don't do well in school because it's all programmed for the feminine. Stay still, fold your hands, right? Be quiet. Boys are rambunctious. They like to beat each other up. They like to be mischievous. They like to break things. They like to do that kind of stuff. There's no outlet for them to do that stuff. Their teachers are all women, right? There's basically all masculinity is now considered toxic. Basically all of it.
Honestly, I highly agree with this. I don't agree necessarily with just like I agree with him on the grand scheme that it's like the way the school system works is catered more towards the feminine. However, that being said, I don't think it's a bad thing to have men, even though it's very counterintuitive to men to sit in a class, to like the masculine to sit in the classroom, raise your hand, ask permission to go to the toilet and all that stuff. I don't think that is a problem. I think the problem is that that is kind of like the only way they're studying, right? It like, especially for like masculine, it needs to be a bit more active rather than just like theoretical, right? I think like, and again, men can excel in both. It doesn't matter. Like women can excel at both. It doesn't matter. But I feel like me, for example, and again, this is like a statistical anomaly, right? Like no, there was some stuff I just didn't want to learn, right? Like I hated literature, I hated learning the Torah, which is mentor. I hated learning Arabic when I was growing up. And one of my teachers, like the homeroom teacher, knew that he made a deal with me and knew that I hated these classes, and he would at random take me out of class. Like I would not know when. That was the deal with us. Like at random, he would just take me out of class, and we'll just go and like do like physical activity, wrestling, like practice like some skill that has very little to do with it, and we would talk whatever. Like let me like just vent out, express myself, yada yada yada, and then he would put me back in class, and I would be good, And the deal was that when he doesn't take me, I have to listen, I have to participate in class, and I have to do good. And I did it, right? Because it was a good deal for me, right? It's like, and all the other kids were super jealous, right? So, like, there are some things that's like, just like, especially if you're a rebellious kid like me, I'm fucking super rebellious. Not like to the point of criminality, but like, if I don't like something, I'm not going to do it, right? And I feel like a lot of teachers just give up on those students. At least, I'm sure there are great teachers out there, right? But I feel like there's not enough teachers who actually care about students. And again, can you do this in mass? Probably not, right? It's like, how do you solve this problem? I don't know. But I feel like having more outdoorsy type of activities for kids, especially for the men, would play a big role, right? Just like let them use up some of their energy so they're not so fidgety in class, that they're not like always distracted. Like just I don't think a kid can, if he hates a subject, I don't think he can channel a lot of his energy to that subject, right? You need to like exert the child a bit so he can focus better on like stuff that he doesn't like, so he doesn't have the energy to rebel, kind of thing, like, if that makes sense. Obviously, like, I'm talking like very broad terms, but I feel like that happens a lot, like when like for kids that are not doing good in school, like the men that are not doing good in school, and you just tell them, well, you just have to like try harder and focus, and it's like that doesn't work. Like there's something in the kid that like he just doesn't want to do it, right? Like it doesn't feel like it's worth his time. He doesn't care about this, and he needs something else, right? Or like a different way to like approach the subject, right? For example, when I heard, I hated Torah, anything religious, like super fucking hate it, right? Like Christianity, what do you call it, Islam, like I just very big problem with just like religion as a whole. As a kid, right? Now I'm like more accepting of it. I'm still like I'm not a religious person. But my biggest shift was for like thinking about religion in a different way was literally again Jordan Peterson, when he talked about the stories in the Bible, the stories in the Torah, and like the lessons that it teaches you, the idea behind it, not so much like don't take it as literal. And like when you're taught it as literal, which by the way I had like a very bad teacher for Torah, when you're taught as a literal thing and like you have to accept as it is, man, I was just fucking like, dude, I'm not gonna fucking accept it as it is, okay? Like I'm not gonna fucking listen to you. Like this sounds like bullshit to me, so fuck you. And it's like the more you're gonna force me to try and learn it, the more rebellious I will get, right? Because you didn't try to make me understand why I'm learning this. You just told me you have to learn this. So I'm gonna be very rebellious. And I think a lot of I think that's overall like a masculine feature where you're rebellious, right? Like that's just a part of masculinity. You are going to be more rebellious than a femininity, where you're like usually more submissive and more like listen to the teacher kind of thing. So yeah, I like that. I think that's the point Andrew mostly is like referring to.
The same women who are getting their double shot of espresso on the way over to the school they're about to teach at. They're 24 years old. Sometimes they're banging their own students, right? Hilariously enough. And then these people go out to parliament. The same women will go to parliament. They vote.
I love how
to send
uncomfortable
men
these
off
two
to
got
war
right
to
now.
stab each other in the face with bayonets. And you're concerned about toxic masculinity. It cracks me up. It's like the brutal savagery of men is a necessary precondition for society to exist. And we just kind of pretend like it's not. And
That is probably like one of the things that like modern society is really bad with, is because, and again, I honestly blame it on peacefulness. Like, because it's so peaceful, we are at a time of peace for the last, what, 80 years basically. There was no like actual, well, I mean, you know, Vietnam, whatever, but like, let's say 60 to 80 years of pretty much peaceful times, right? And like this generation, his generation, her generation, like maybe not his, I mean, like I think he's like early 40s, right? So maybe his generation too, which is basically my generation, didn't really live in a time of war, and it's very peaceful. And it's like, because of this peacefulness, you are starting to forget that the reason you have this peacefulness is because of toxic masculinity, you know, quote unquote, that fought to bring you this peacefulness, right? They're like, but like, if you let go of the toxic masculinity, because like, you know, again, quotation marks, toxic masculinity is not removed from the world, right? There are other countries that embrace this toxic masculinity, and a lot of these countries are enemies of the Western world, right? You have a lot of toxic masculinity in the Arab world. That's just a fact. Like, again, based on the definition that you're using, I don't want to call it toxic masculinity. I'm just using the definition that is already given. What would happen if, you know, you completely remove toxic masculinity from society? That society will crumble. Why? Because you're not going to have any warriors left to fight a war that will inevitably come. The world is not at like a forever peaceful state. You are literally in a state of like Cold War for the most part every year, with either the same enemies or different enemies. Do you really think that if Iran had the opportunity and had the power to take down the US, that they wouldn't? Of course they would, right? Like, their number one enemy is the US. Like, if the US wasn't there, Iran can do whatever the fuck it wants. Iran. Same with like, do you think, like, you know, if Hamas had the opportunity to destroy Israel completely, they wouldn't do it? We all know they would, right? So it's like you're in a state of constant battle, and if you remove the toxic masculinity, you know, quote in quotation, if you remove that aspect of men, and all you're left with are like these soy boys who would run at the sound of like a flat tire exploding, thinking it's gunshot. I'm sorry, but like, yeah, your country will probably die very fucking fast. Like, that's just how it is. You will have no one to defend it because everyone will be too much of a pussy. Right? Your leaders are gonna be pussies. Your soldiers are gonna be pussies. Fuck, you might not even have soldiers. Right? Crime will be rampant because you need toxic masculinity as police officers too. Right? You're not like, the only toxic masculine people will be the criminals, and you're not gonna send criminals to fight your wars. How are you gonna force them? Right?
This show should actually be an indictment on the feminine rather than the masculine, because basically masculinity is just punished everywhere all the time, nonstop. Yeah. It's no wonder guys like Andrew Tate get so famous in these spaces.
Yep.
I mean, what's the alternative? The alternative is everything must be feminine, tone policing, nonsense like this. It's ridiculous.
All right, James Barr, you were laughing, but I don't think you had a joy what you're hearing.
No, I mean, I don't think you've seen the show. Episode 2 is shot entirely in a school. I didn't see one of the female teachers drinking a double shot of espresso at all. None of the teachers were flirting with students. There were male teachers as well. I don't think you're describing the
This, like, I hate people who argue like this. Like, bro, like, the fucking stick to the main argument, not the little stupid examples. Oh, well, they didn't actually drink espresso. Oh, like, that's not the point, man. The point is, like, when he says that example, he clearly means these teachers don't want to be there. Like, they're not energetic to teach. They're fucking, you know, they need the fake energy from espresso to get through the day. that was the point. Like, you have teachers that don't want to teach, that they're just, that's a job for them rather than like, you know, a passion for them. Like, fucking look at, like, you know, watch 300, right? Obviously, like, yeah, there's a lot of problem with those with the Spartans and what they did to kids. Okay, sure. But I'm just saying that's like, the teachers taught with passion, right? It's like, we are making warriors here, and the teachers treated the children like warriors, and the, you know, it was very militaristic, obviously. But so can you imagine, like, you go to the army? I know I'm like bouncing around a bit. Can you imagine going to the army and like your commander that is like supposed to be training you and shit just like fucking doesn't have the energy to train you? Right? He's like, he doesn't want to yell at you to like fucking, you know, like, okay, like, get down, give me 20, man. Like, you know, like, can you imagine that? Like, he can't even fake his anger about at your like retardation, being like a bad soldier, like making a mistake. Like, oh, you guys didn't make it in 7 minutes. You guys didn't put on your shoes. You guys are not ready to perform in under 7 minutes. Okay, well, I guess just drop and give me 20. Like, does that sound like a fucking... that doesn't sound very, you know, very enthusiastic from somebody who's supposed to be training you and teaching you and whatever. Are schools militaristic? No, but you want the teacher to at least feel like they want to be there and teach you. If you feel like the teacher doesn't want to teach you, why the fuck would you want to learn?
Show here, I think you're describing your own insecurities or agenda.
Yeah, so this doesn't contend with the argument. Like, do you understand that I'm making an argument, an indictment of society itself, based around my ideas that I'm seeing from this show? That's what I'm actually doing. So if you could contend with the fact that male savagery is necessary for the security of a nation, and that women will indeed vote in the future in parliaments to send men off to war to stab each other in the face at 18 years old with bayonets, perhaps you can contend with that before we start, you know, getting into, well, tone policing is actually good and toxic masculinity is actually bad. It's like, I think there needs to be a little bit more toxic masculinity, or what you consider to be toxic masculinity.
Well, great, good for you.
Nothing.
I'm glad you think so.
Nothing.
No, I mean, I just don't need to argue with that because
you just unlocked. You just unlocked. You got nothing.
You're making up.
You
an
do
agenda
seem
that
unusually
I've not said
muted by that,
I've not
Jake.
said anything. I haven't literally said nothing.
Yeah,
About
because you got nothing, bro. Like, you fucking commented on the espresso part, not on the actual fucking argument.
We're literally rendered silent. Like, you had no way of responding.
I'll tell you what, you can't argue with a completely illogical argument that had, like, I've not made any of the
It's a
comments
logical argument. You may not agree with it.
I've not made any of the
making a perfectly
comments
logical argument.
that you are firing at me. None of those comments are things I've said or believe in.
All right, I want to bring Tommy in, because Tommy, you've got a very interesting perspective, I think. You've talked about something different. You call it the pussification of men, which is a great phrase. I'd love you to just explain what you mean.
The thing is, like, Tommy is right about that. But as you'll see in a second, I heard this part before, but it's like, you'll see in a second, that's like, she's right about it, but she doesn't hit the mark of like why it's happening.
About that, but also you're not a fan of Andrew Tate or the influence he has, so that makes you, I think, an interesting commentator in this area.
Not really.
So just
A
explain
normal
first of all
person.
the pussification of men.
All right, Piers. Well, I think, and I can't see you all, so forgive me if I'm incorrect here, but I think I'm the only female on this panel,
Correct.
so I'm really anxious to weigh in. Okay, so I think over the last probably 10 years, there has been what I call the pussification of men. It was everything should be about your emotions and your feelings, and men were emasculated, and this whole concept of toxic masculinity warped the minds of a lot of young men. And they felt masculine, they wanted to be masculine, but society was telling them they should be softer, that it was being toxically masculine if you wanted to play sports and chop wood and go to war. And so men were so emasculated and so beat down that then there was this revolution of what was actually toxic masculinity, the Tate brothers and others, which I feel
Like with everything, there's gonna be backlash. LGBT communities experiencing the same thing. When you push too far in the opposite direction, especially when you go against nature and common sense, you are gonna get pushback that usually would be more extreme than normal. That's why you get an Andrew Tate rather than, you know, an Andrew Wilson, for example. Like, Andrew Wilson's not as popular as Andrew Tate. Why? Because he doesn't live the lavish lifestyle. However, he is the one who has the 5 children, a loving wife, you know. Like he is the one. You know, you have the Wes Watson, who's like, I think he has like a kid, but like not even sure. Maybe he was with a woman who had a kid. And it's like, yeah, very materialistic, whatever, and that's like what young men might think is cool, but actually what is cool is, you know, having a big family and shit like that.
As a female, that doesn't represent true masculinity. That to me represents douchebaggery. And as a woman, I want a strong man who is a protector and a provider that
Oh my god, why? Like, why does everything have to be like fucking science?
that will
bro?
go to
Like,
war
holy
if need
shit.
be, that will protect me, protect my family, make money. I see that as being actually masculine. That's like the man that I grew up with, my dad. But what we're seeing now is these young men who
Like,
look
again, you're right, but you don't understand. Like, it's like you don't understand the cause of it.
at Andrew Tate and the Tate brothers, and they see somebody who's just quite frankly a douchebag and disrespects women, and because they've been so emasculated, they're like, oh, great, that's a manly man. But that's not right either. So at some point, I think we'll go back to maybe meeting in the middle here. You can be a man who has feelings and emotions, but you can also go to war and protect and defend your family. I'm hoping we can get back there. But the two extremes right now, they're confusing men, and quite frankly, they're leaving women with few choices, and that's the real tragedy here.
You see, I completely agree with you, but Andrew, you were shaking your head quite vigorously.
Again, like, yes, I agree with you. However, men are very logical beings. Right? The concept of equal exchange, you know, from alchemy or whatever, like equivalent exchange, I think is the actual term, right? It's like, what do men get out of it? It's like, oh, well, men shouldn't expect anything out of it. Well, yeah, sure. It's not like when you marry or like you find a girlfriend, you have these terms and conditions, you know, like terms of service that you apply to her. But if you feel like you're in a bad deal, right, which basically what, you know, what you would consider it, if let's say, and he would give a great example of like something that I actually want to touch about. You're in a bad deal, right? You are not gonna want to protect this woman if she's mistreating you, right? You're not going to want to like stay with her. You're not gonna want to protect her. You're not gonna want to supply for her if you feel like she's using you. Like, you know, so it's like, yeah, the duty of a man, sure, protect, provide, yada yada yada. But then what is the duty of the woman? Which is basically what Andrew's saying here.
Why?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just more feminine or feminist nonsense ultimately. And the covert feminism in society is big, especially on the conservative side. So here's what happens, right? Women need to have feminine virtues for men to be pursuing.
The thing is, like, I don't like how he's phrasing it because it's like, instead of trying to make her understand, he first, I wouldn't say insults her personally, but like, the way he explains things is very, like you're agitating the person you're trying to talk to, right? Which again is very like internet sensationalist, but it's like you're not trying to make her understand, you're just trying to fight her. That's what I feel like with Andrew a lot of times. And it's like, even if you're right, no one wants to agree with somebody who is overly righteous kind of thing, you know?
Masculine virtues for you to say things like, well, men, what I want is for men to protect me and I want men to make money. Well, that's great. What that ends up doing is it gives you a set of privilege in society. What do men get? What do men get for doing that for you? What are we getting from women for doing that? Are we getting chaste virgins on our wedding night? No, we're not getting chaste virgins on our wedding night. Are we getting women of great...
Look how shocked she is. Like, what? What do you mean get out of it?
Virtue? No, we're not getting women of great virtue. The idea of courtly love is supposed to be done for women of great virtue. Where are they? Well, they're nowhere. And so in modernity, in society, when female conservative influencers say this, it's actually a form of covert feminism. They're saying, I want privilege in society, right? But what is it women are giving to men to get it? What? What are they giving them? Tell me.
And that is probably like the biggest thing people are not understanding, which is like, okay, you want men to sacrifice themselves, but it's like, it has to be worth it for the man to sacrifice himself. Why would I sacrifice myself for a society that doesn't respect me, that treats me like fucking fodder? right? Why would I sacrifice myself for a woman that treats me like a slave and thinks she's better than me? Like, men are very logical creatures. It's like, oh well, she gave you children. It's like, okay, well, why would I say like why would I defend my, I don't know, children if like they just treat me like a fucking pay pig, right? And they throw their fucking glasses at me and treat me like a slave or whatever. Like, oh, it's your duty as a father. Sure, it is your duty as a father, but at the same time, like duties, like this would feel like an emotional argument. It's like your duty as a father, but like men are very logical. At some point, the logic will triumph over their duty, right? For a lot of men, like for some men, no, some men would like, you know, take it on the chin and just like keep slaving, right? But it's like, and honestly, I think like the worst thing you can do to a man is disrespect him, which I think is like kind of like, you know, I think there's like a common understanding. Like you disrespect a man, like good luck getting anything out of him after, unless you condition him to be disrespected, I guess. But like, yeah, like I feel like just they like she clearly missed the argument, and honestly, I believe it's because of the way he's saying it. What do men get out of it? Rather than saying it's something like, look, if you disrespect a person, if you don't value that person, you can't expect him to want to do anything for you, like sacrifice himself and stuff like that. And right now, society is treating men like they're disposable, and they're teaching women are teaching women to disrespect men, to use them as pay pigs, to do this, do that, and it is extremely impossible, extremely hard, not impossible, if not impossible, to find a woman that is not like that. Now again, that's only if you live on the internet. From what I have seen, this is not the case in the real world, right? But again, if you're with a woman and you know, I just want to be a stay-at-home mom, but then it's like, okay, I'm gonna do extra, I'm gonna work more so you can be a stay-at-home mom with the children, but then you also hire a nanny, you also hire like a babysitter, a nanny, a cleaner, right? And it's like, so why the hell do I have a wife, right? You hire a personal chef with your salary. What is the wife there for? What is the man getting out of this arrangement, right? Call it a deal, call it an arrangement, call it a transaction, doesn't matter. But like, at some point, you would do, like, a man would do the math, and it's like, dude, like, she's just using me. Like, does she even love me? Like, all she does, like, sit at home, watch TV, barely talks to me. Like, I come home, it's not even like, hey, honey, no kiss welcome. She didn't prepare me a hot meal like the chef did. Like, what is the wife here for? Like, oh, well, then it's like, well, she wants to pursue her career. That's great. Okay, you want to pursue your career. That's fine. Okay. And then, but it's still like, why are we together? You know, what's the point here? And I think that's basically what Andrew is talking about. Like, okay, I'm doing all of this for you, and like, I'm getting nothing in return. At some point, you're gonna be like, bro, like, I'm being used.
Can I please chime in here?
Yes, you can. And then James can, and they'll come to you, Sean.
No, I would love to. I love this whole thing of like, if you're a female conservative and you don't believe that men should be douchebags, that all of a sudden you're a
That's, again, completely not what he said at all.
overt feminist. Call me a feminist. I really don't give one crap one way or another, but I can tell you this. A lot of these men, these podcast hosts on the right that like to think of themselves as these big masculine men, and what am I getting out of it? I can tell you this.
There's that feminism.
All right, I believe I'm a woman of virtue,
coming
right?
out.
Yeah, there's the feminism. Oh, and then you're interrupting me too.
Didn't take long, did it? Didn't take long, did it?
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to speak over me?
Yeah, I don't care if you call me. I don't really care if you call me a
strong,
feminist.
independent woman.
Like, again, I hate this. I really like. Again, it's internet sensationalism, yeah, but like, I really hate this. Obviously, she came at it like yelling at him, but like, still.
Yeah. You're actually interrupting me. I didn't interrupt you when you were spewing your bullshit. So
also, clearly, she has a delay on like when she hears and when she speaks, so it's like, it's really fucking annoying when he does this.
Okay,
you mean
the
truth?
Like I said before, so I believe there we go again. Piers,
yeah, see, like, there's like a 3 or 4 seconds before she hears what he says.
of virtue. I happen to be independently successful. I have a husband who's not only a former professional athlete, but is currently a professional baseball coach. So is he not a masculine man? I mean, I'm confused.
That has nothing to do with what he said, though. But that has nothing to do with what he said. Okay, you have a masculine man, right? Who's apparently probably had a good chunk of money because, like, professional athlete, yada yada. And now he's a coach. You guys are living great life, right? But, like, you're not the regular case regardless. You are rich from your fucking internet personality. Most women are not. Most men are not fucking professional athletes. They're just like, blue collar 9 to 5 dudes or whatever, and they're just like struggling to make ends meet, right? And they're working their ass off to then get a woman like you who would not be working, who would want to have her hair fucking done, expensive makeup, get her fucking manicure, pedicure every day, and, like, maybe not work, maybe even work a bit, but she would, like, that's not the reality of many fucking men, though. Like, that's just not the case. Now, obviously, and again, I'm not saying that, sorry, let me correct myself. It's not that that's not the case. That is what is portrayed in social media. Like I said, in the real world, that is not the case. Go to, like, any store, plenty of women working in stores, plenty of women working, I work in a construction center now, we have plenty of women working there too, right? Obviously they're not doing the heavy lifting stuff, but, like, they're women working everywhere. They're not entitled shits. Go to a hospital, a lot of nurses, like, fucking demanding jobs, right? So, like, yeah, that is also not the case. So it's like, I don't agree that society is, like, as warped as social media makes it out to be. But if you go to places like, LA, and you hang out in the clubs there, all the women you're gonna meet, they're not all, but, like, majority of them are going to be entitled bitches, right? So I think it just depends on where it is you're located. But there is a trend, and again, this is just like, let's call it like the early stages, right? If society keeps going the way it is going, in 3 or 4 generations, you will have a lot more men like this idiot, right? And a lot more entitled women, because that's how, like, we are being taught. It's like we're, like, in schools and all that stuff, right? That is the trajectory. Is it true to today right now? No. Will there also be probably backlash kind of thing, like, that brings it back to normalcy? More than likely. But do you want to get to that stage where you need that?
Confused here. What's your concept
Don't
of
you
a
understand
masculine
that
man? Mine is a man who respects me.
Yeah, that misses the point, though. Like, you're still not contending with the argument that I'm making. You're saying inside of society, right this second, right, masculinity is not only punished, but also women on the right, covert feminists on the right, are constantly and consistently talking about how they need to have privilege in society. I want men. Their version of masculinity is men who take care of us, men who protect us, men who do all of this. Those are all duties that men have towards women. Great. What are the duties that women have towards men? What are the duties that women have towards anything? What do men get out of this arrangement? What are we getting out of this arrangement? Can you tell me?
I mean,
Well, I would argue that men innately should be protectors and providers.
Again, there's no such thing as, like, men innately need to feel like they need to protect something. They will protect, they are protectors, they're providers, but they have to feel like it is worth for them to do it. It is a trade-off at the end of the day. Men have a value. Like, my life has value. I might not think that, but my life has value. If I want to sacrifice my life for somebody, I must first value that something or someone more than I value myself. Like, if I want to protect my, like, let's say, wife and kids, which I don't have, by the way, probably will never have, I'm retarded. But if I want to protect my wife and kid, right, I would first have to also value them more than my life, which, again, by default, the kid probably you value more than your life. The woman, dude, if she abuses you all the time, if she's treating you like shit, honestly, you'll be like, hey, you know what? Like, use her as the human shield against the child. Like, so the child doesn't get hurt, right? It's like, it's all about value at the end of it. It's like, there will be math involved, right? Some men will gladly sacrifice themselves for their woman, and some men, like, who have, like, a terrible woman, would not sacrifice themselves for the woman. Like, yeah, there is a trade-off happening here.
men are born that
Let
way.
Tommy respond to that, and then I'll come to you, Jez. And then Sean, you've been ready patiently. So
most men are born to be protectors and providers. I
No,
can't
they're not.
imagine my dad saying, you know what, to my mom, you know what, I'm not going to be a protector and a provider unless you do this. That's not how real men operate.
No, like these are not things you need to say. These are like things that are expected of you, and that's what he means when he says duty, right? Like if you go into a relationship, right? Like you're in a brand new relationship, right? And like you have like these standards for what you want your partner to do, right? Now you can communicate them, of course, but if let's say you have to communicate all of your standards, you probably don't want to be with this person, right? Just as like when you go on the first date, the woman would expect like maybe open the door for her, maybe flowers, whatever. Like some women don't. Like it's a mixed bag, right? But it's like you as a gentleman, right? Let's say you are going on a date, right? And you wanna treat her right, like the lady you expect her to be, and you're gonna treat her like the wife you would want her to be, right? You would open the door for her, you would, treat her nicely, be a gentleman, move the seat for her to sit in when you get to the restaurant, if there is a seat, obviously. Maybe give her the flowers, escort her to the door on the like when it's over, right? But if for this whole time that you're treating her like a lady, she's acting like a hood rat, like she's like picking her nose at the table, she like eats with her hands, like acts like a pig, whatever, instead of like the classy lady that you want her to be, would you go on a second date with her? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't marry her, you wouldn't, whatever, like you wouldn't, right? Because you have certain expectations, certain standards, right? So in a marriage you also have these certain standards and expectations, right? That's what the woman's duty is in the marriage, right? Yeah, the husband is going to be the one who's probably going to like take the extra shifts, maybe take a second job. Not always, obviously. Some men are not that. I'm probably one of them. And some women would have to pick up the pace. Guess what? Those women who have to pick it up are usually not the happiest. Why? Because it goes against their nature. Right? It goes against like what they thought of themselves. Like not every, but like many girls want to be the princess when they're growing up. They watch the Disney movie and they want to be the princess. That's why those movies are so popular as well, because it appeals to the nature. And many of the guys want to be the prince, the charming, like not Shrek Prince Charming, but like the charmer, the gentleman, the one the princess, the lady falls in love with, benevolent, the warrior, the fighter, the leader. Like that's what the men like aspire to be, like when they're kids. But would the prince act that way towards like a woman that acts like a witch? No. How is the prince treating the witch? He kills the witch, right? And if the woman that he's dating or marries acts like the witch, well, guess what? She's gonna die like a bitch. That's like as simple as that. So like, yeah, there are expectations of from the woman in a relationship, in a marriage. Like there are certain duties that the men will do. There are certain duties that you expect from the woman. It's simple as that. But what he's saying is that society doesn't teach it to women. It only teaches men how to behave. That's where the problem is.
Real men are protectors and providers, and they marry women who hopefully
great.
have
A
some
woman telling
virtue,
us what
but
real
also
men
bring a
are.
lot to the table as well, that are great mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and mother.
And
You
again, like,
misunderstand.
right? She's hitting on the point.
Mothers, great wives, caretakers of the home. There's nothing wrong with being a traditional wife and
It's not that there's nothing wrong. That is usually the expectation. That is usually what a lot of men would consider the duty of the wife. Now, again, the way society is right now, especially in the Western world, women don't really have the opportunity to do that, especially like because of economic reasons, right? Obviously, if you're both working, man, you can't expect the wife to do all the house chores and take care of the house while also working the same hours as you, right? Like that's just like you have to come to an agreement there, right? But if there is a possibility of like the men providing enough for the woman to stay at home, there is the expectation of her taking care of the house, making it a place that the man comes back to where he can relax. Yeah, like that is a trade-off. That is the duty. Now, if it's impossible to fulfill the duty, that's a whole other thing. But there's an aspiration to be able to do that duty. That like the goal is to be able to achieve that duty, right? For me to be able to provide for the family completely, and for you to be able to give me a home to return to that I would want to return to, and not sit in my car for 30 minutes, take a deep breath, and get ready for like a job number 2 with like more fucking stress and more fucking problems.
And mother, you're misunderstanding me if you think that I think that women should just be out doing whatever they want. I think that there are gender roles that should be respected, but I don't think a man needs to get something out of it to be a manly man, a protector, and a provider. If you think you need to get something out of it, I quite frankly don't consider you a real man.
Yeah, so you have nothing. So you have nothing.
But we'll discuss in a moment whether Andrew Wilson is a real man.
Piers, I offer nothing. I offer nothing.
Again, misrepresenting what he says. Like you are offering nothing to the argument of like what men should be getting out of the arrangement. Like, these arguments are so fucking tedious sometimes because like they like clearly misrepresenting what the other person is saying. And again, she hit on a lot of good points, but Andrew right away goes into like an aggressive thing. Why? Because of the way she's lecturing him. And it's like, bro, just fucking deal with the arguments, man. I'm so tired of people like being so reactive to emotions. Just fucking talk about the argument, man.
You offer me a lot of things, Tommy. That's why I always love having you on the show. You know that. Let's go to a real man, James Barr.
Thank you. I do see myself as a man, and I know that you'll be looking at me thinking, well, you're not. You're wearing makeup. You're wearing colourful clothes. Like, look at me. I'm really camp. My nails are painted.
I mean, they are worrying.
You know, you're sat there smoking a cigarette. I'd love to get a vape out and start drinking a beer. You know, pints with the lads. Just connect with you over that. I think
that has nothing to do with being a man. That's just how Andrew is. I don't smoke. I don't really drink, like unless like social beer or whatever. Like, that has nothing to do with it. It's more about, like, how you treat others, like, how you would act in a situation, how you talk, how you present yourself, like... I don't know, man, like... if I was stuck in a critical situation, would I want this guy to be next to me? Probably not. I think he would sell me out first for his own survival, you know? Like, that's... You know, shit like that.
that you have some insane opinions on what women are meant to do for you. It's crazy that you don't appreciate that a woman actually gave birth to you. Like, she gave you a womb for 9 months and then looked after you, I would hope, for the beginning of your life. And you're sat there going, what do women owe men? Women don't owe men anything. No one owes you anything. You have your own...
You're not wrong about that. But in a society where you don't owe the men anything, what makes you think that the men would want to owe anything to the society? Again, there is going to be a trade-off, right? Again, take Sparta for example. Why were they training children to fight? Like, why were they? Because they're trying to preserve their society, right? How were the warriors treated? As fucking heroes, right? You treat your combatants, the people who are able to like make sure that your society survives. You need to treat them in a certain way. If you treated your soldiers like shit, soldiers will not want to fucking fight for you. They would wait for the enemy to come and kill you because they can't do it themselves.
Okay, do you understand that if you make an argument and you say that
I'd watch your seminar on how to win an argument.
A position, if women are supposed to be in a position of privilege where men do A, B, C, and D for them, and then I ask, well, what duties do women have, and you say, well, nothing.
No one said that men need...
Why are men checking out? I don't know why men are checking out. I don't get it.
You just
That's silly, man.
All right, let me bring in the one person who so far hasn't said a word about this. Has a lot of interesting things to say. Sean, welcome to Uncensored. I think one of the key things that this made it so popular is that anyone who's had young sons knows that they are...
The last point I want to touch on
a lot of
this guy.
stuff on the internet. We all know this. And a lot of it is this kind of incel stuff, which I think can be a really malevolent influence on impressionable young men. And they gravitate to it. And I think that partly what Andrew's getting at, I agree with, in the sense that following the Me Too Time's Up campaigns, which were in many ways, extremely laudable, brought down a lot of very bad men, no question of that. But the pendulum swung so wildly that I think a lot of young men in particular felt completely disenfranchised from society, felt like they're all being treated like a bunch of young Harvey Weinsteins unless they could prove otherwise. They didn't really know what the rules of engagement were with women, with teenage girls anymore, whatever. They lost their way. And by losing their way, they gravitated, I think, to people, to very loud voices on the internet like Andrew Tate, who I think, like I say, he says a lot of stuff I find myself wrong to, and then he'll say this misogynist stuff, which I just despise it. I see no reason why you should ever want to have a relationship with a woman the way that Andrew Tate wants you to, where it's just pure misogyny. But just talk to me first of all about why you think young boys, teenage boys, young men, why they gravitated to people like Tate. Because I have.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I think it's, first of all, we got to understand that we have an amazing responsibility as a parent to leave from the home and to have these open conversations with our young children, all right? Whether they're male children, female children, we have to make sure that we're having open door conversations and we are tackling the hard subjects. Because if we don't take care of everything at home, we don't take care of everything in public, like at school, and other forces within society that help raise our children, we always say it takes a village. Well, it certainly does, but it starts at home. And if you cannot have these open conversations and allow your children to be honest and open with how they are feeling about society and the things that they are seeing, they're going to go to misogyny. They're going to go to the Andrew and Tristan Tates.
Not really. I don't know. How many times have I ever talked to my dad about like anything remotely close to that? Maybe once or twice. There's some stuff you don't need to have a real conversation about. Like, you can just learn it because like you just have a brain on your shoulders. Like, for example, you talk in a certain way to your mom, that doesn't need to tell you that you can't talk to her like that. He just needs to give you a smack and he doesn't need to explain much more than that. It's like, you never talk to your mom or any woman that way ever again. Do I make myself clear? That's it. You don't need much more than that. Like, you don't need to have a whole fucking Disney movie prequel and trailer and a movie to like understand why you don't talk like that to women. You will understand it very easily, but the dad's job is just to make sure you stop doing that, right? Like, you need to understand what you just did is a bad thing. You don't always have to. There's some stuff you need to explain, but some stuff are like very self-explanatory. You don't talk to your mother this way. That's it. End of story. There's no discussion here to be made. Nothing, man. Just fucking, gonna do it again, you're gonna get slapped. Gonna do it again, you're gonna get spanked. Gonna do it again, you're gonna get smacked. Okay? Like, there's some shit you don't do. That's it. Like, you don't need like, and like, yeah. But why? When you grow up, you'll understand why, okay? Not even grow up, like, just give it like a fucking year. Like, are you stronger than the women in your class? Yeah, why do you think that is? You know?
World, and they're gonna learn how to be a man from that, and that is not what society needs. It's not what the world needs. That is not masculinity. It is masquerading as misogyny.
How do we protect young men from the easy access at the moment there is to people like Tate? I mean, how do you actually put a ring fence around them so that you can tackle exactly what you've just said, but they're not also being dragged into that world?
It's tough because they're growing up in a world we never grew up in, Piers. We didn't grow up with the internet. We didn't grow up with Bumble, Tinder, Instagram, Facebook.
No, I was taught how to treat
now, yeah, the whole like Tinder and stuff like that is problematic, but like, dude, I grew up on the internet. I don't know about you, man. Like, and we are probably like similar. Well, he based on his neck, he's probably like maybe 10 years older than me. But like, I don't know, I grew up with the internet, man. I'm not that retarded. I'm not as retarded as this guy. But like, you know, fuck. When did I get internet? Like 12 years oldish. I don't know. It was dial-up back then, but like DSL came like within 2 or 3 years of that, right? So it's like most of my like adolescent to adult life, where like, you know, your brain is shifting hardcore and like your hormones go out of control. I grew up with the internet. Obviously, early days of the internet probably can't compare right now, but I don't see myself hanging out on like Twitter and shit like that. I don't know, man. I got like, how much impact does it have? I feel like it's a very similar argument to, you know, video games and violence. Like,
women, by my mother, my grandmother.
Open the door, right?
Aunts,
Open the door.
A lot of strong women in my family, very strong women, and they would just take no crap from the men. So that's the environment I grew up in.
Now, some people are defending the point of like, not defending, like they're arguing against the point of like, don't take crap from the man. And honestly, I feel like, yeah, if the man is wrong, it is the woman's duty to tell him they are wrong and not take crap from the man if the man is actually wrong, right? Just because the woman is supposed to trust in the man to lead, which is like the red pill whole thing, right? It's like, yeah, the woman can trust, like needs to trust the man to lead, but the man also needs to consult his woman about certain things. When shit comes to shove, like push comes to shove, yeah, the man has to make the decision. But when there's no fucking pressure and whatever, he needs to make sure that the woman is alright with the decisions that have been made. And if not, to adjust accordingly. You still take some advice. Obviously, push shit goes to shit. Like when shit happens, you're gonna make the decisions you're gonna make, right? Considering all the factors you already know. But you still wanna talk to your woman about certain decisions, and like especially when there's like less stress involved. Like she's still an active participant here. Now, I'm not saying everything. I don't think women want to participate in everything that has to do with just like, you know, leading, whatever. But it's not like you ignore her existence and you just like keep pushing forward. Meanwhile, she's falling off the mountain that you're trying to climb and you don't even look back to make sure that she's okay. Like that does, like, you know, like you have to make sure that like what you're doing as a leader works for the people you lead, because if you're leading into the abyss, maybe people don't want to go into the abyss.
Absolutely. So how do we insulate our children from this? By having conversations, putting parameters around the social media aspects of life, and having the conversations at home. Hey son, hey daughter, this is what you're going to see out there in the real world. This is what you're going to see on the internet. If you see something like this, that is not how a true man is supposed to act. And hey, that's not how a real man is supposed to treat you.
To be honest, you don't even need these conversations. Just fucking make sure that your kids don't have an Instagram account, Twitter account until they're like 18. Just like prevent them from having access to it. How do I prevent access from it? Bro, like there's so many parental access controls that you can do. And if you don't know how to do it, man, call a professional. Call somebody who knows how to do it. Set up parental controls on your fucking PCs and your digital bullshit, so they can't access it. Right? Make sure that the school that they're going to, like, they don't have free access to the internet. There's actually like good cybersecurity to make sure that they don't go to places they shouldn't be going to. Like, it sounds complicated, but like people in his generation should already know all of this. I'm not talking about like the grandparents who like don't even know how to like fucking type anything. Like, yeah, okay, they won't know. But any parent right now, if you're a new parent, bro, just fucking remove all of these digital equipment that has, especially if they have internet connection, remove them from the kids' lives. Limit them for like maybe an hour to 2 a day at most. An hour a day, maybe like 5 hours a week, something like that. Like, just like, it's not, I don't know, man, like it's just lazy parenting. If your kid is like on the iPad or iPod, whatever, for like hours every day, because like you need peace and quiet, you need them to be distracted, you are lazy. And it's easy for me to say when I'm done have kids, but like even if I had kids and I would be like, yeah, you know what, fuck it, I'm lazy. But like, yeah, you are lazy. Yeah, give them a book, give them like, buy them an interactive game, make them do Sudoku, teach them how to play chess. Don't give them something that just like shoots them up with dopamine, makes them fucking zombies.
Right, so
we have to have the conversations.
Yeah, Andrew, do you intrinsically disagree with what you've just heard?
Yeah, I do. Again, all of this is always the burden on men.
Like, the problem is like where he says that he disagrees, where it's like, I agree with the idea because I think he would agree that this is how men should be treated, and like in terms of like educating your kids, less social media and stuff like that. What he disagrees with is that all he focused on is what to tell the male children, the boys, how to behave, and there was absolutely nothing that he said regarding girls.
On men need to be doing
family,
this.
Andrew. The family.
Hang on.
The family, Andrew. Husband and wife.
Okay, yeah. So let me back up. Okay. Again, men need to do this. Men need to do that. What I'm talking about is what duties do women have in society? What are the actual women's duties towards men? Everybody is raised from the time they're kids how we're supposed to treat women. We all know how to treat women. We never talk about how men are supposed to be treated. That's almost never discussed, especially by how women are supposed to treat men, what their duties in society are. This has been completely dispelled. Guys like Tate have risen because Christianity itself has become a feminized religion, especially the Protestant sects has become completely feminized, and it didn't used to punish masculinity at all.
I mean, I don't know about the whole Christianity argument. He's not wrong, but I'm saying, like, is it because of Christianity became feminized? I believe it's because all the other things he said. right? But like again, why is Andrew Tate so prevalent, so like fucking popular? Is because like that he's a more appealing answer to the alternative that goes against like male nature.
And now it does. And so where's the alternative? Where's the spiritual alternative? It's nowhere. And we need to get back to this fundamental question of what even is misogyny. Because I don't think that men kicking the crap out of each other, being brutes, insulting each other, hazing each other, even bullying each other is misogyny. Not only
He means toxic masculinity here.
do I not think it's misogyny, I think it's perfectly healthy.
Yeah, but I don't think that's misogyny.
Well-adjusted.
Is that the
Yeah,
argument?
but that is not misogyny.
Well, no, hang on. How women see this is totally
misogyny is where you have a hatred or whatever you want to phrase it towards women. It's not about men treating men.
Sorry, toxic masculinity is what I'm referencing here, and toxic masculinity is what they're claiming leads to misogyny. So what I'm talking about is these are all masculine traits. There's nothing wrong with them, right? When you're talking about misogyny itself, I want to know what that even is. Is it just asserting yourself to women, telling women no, telling them no, that's bullshit?
No, I'm saying it's okay. Let me answer you.
Saying stupid things.
Andrew Tate says he's quite open about it. Women should stay at home. They shouldn't go out to work. They should do what he tells them. He's the king of the castle in his house. Blah 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 blah. That is.
This argument.
Home. They shouldn't go out to work. They should do what he tells them. He's the king of the castle in his house. Blah 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 blah. That is.
It's such a it's just an inaccurate argument. First of all, he believes that the woman shouldn't work. What's the problem with that? He wants to be the provider. It's not that I would argue to make the point that, and again, I'm not going to say that this is exactly what Andrew Tate means, but the way you should view it is that I want to be able to provide so much money that the woman doesn't feel the need to work. If she wants to work, fucking work. However, not going to clubs, understandable. Why does a woman go to clubs? Like, let's be real, for the attention. Like, why? Like why? Well, like why? Why do you think a woman wants to go to a club, dress all slutty and shit? Oh, I just want to dance, bro. Like, fucking put on music, bring your female friends over and fucking dance. Oh, but it's not the same. Why is it not the same? Because other men are not oogling at you, are not checking you out when you do it. Like, why? Well, like, why? We all know why a party is not the same. It's like, oh, it's the vibes, it's the energy, and it's like, it's the social thing. And it's like, why do you need all this social thing when you're married, when you have a man? Right? Why do you care about other people and being around them when you have a man, right? And that's the argument. Obviously, like, the man also has to be there, right? But like that is the idea of the arguments. Like, why are you going there? Like, why are you going to slut yourself around, get like other men to look at you so you can feel a bit more sexy? It's like, are you not, like, if you're not happy with something from me, let me know, because there's a, like, if you're trying to go to the club to get like men to check you out and shit, like, then hit on you and buy you a drink, what are you not getting from me? Fucking communicate, okay? Like, that's, and again, that's a whole other fucking can of worms to open. Oh, we got a shell. Mecha Overdrive, yeah, for sure, brother. So that's a whole other can of worms. Just fucking communicate with your men. But like, what do you need from other people that you can't get at home, right? Staying at home, staying with the children, yada yada yada. King of the castle is more like, honestly, I take it as like, just, leave me alone kind of thing. Like, if you see like I'm tired, like, just like, don't be a bother. As crude as it sounds, like, just like, don't make my day worse than it already is because work was so fucking draining, right? I want to go home and I want to relax. Now, that doesn't mean like, he tells her what to do all the time or anything like that. But maybe it is on Andrew Tate's point of view.
Misogyny, isn't it? I've got a daughter. I've got a 13-year-old daughter. I don't want her thinking she can never leave the house. She's somebody's
It's not never leaving the house. Look,
it's not never
true that the world would be a better place if we didn't have it inverted, and women did have a natural role at home, and that was glorified, and that there was government propaganda around the nuclear family and keeping women home. Why do you want to outsource the raising of children to strangers instead of your wife? That's a way better society. Why do you want your best and brightest women forced to go to a workplace instead of the best and brightest women staying at home raising their children? That's a way better system. It's always been a better system.
I guess we're talking freedom of choice. It's not misogyny. Women to do anything. It's freedom of choice. It's freedom of choice. I love the fact that my wife's out there working, teaching kids and building adolescents. I love that. I love that. And to your point about what do I get from a woman? I have a home. I have 3 beautiful children. I have communication in the house. And to me, that means more than anything. Like, I don't understand where I'm not saying.
What if you didn't get that from your wife? Would you still be the same person you are right now? Would you still treat her the same way if you didn't get any of those things from your wife? If your wife is like, I don't want to give you kids. No, I don't want to raise kids. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Right? It's like, I don't want to treat you like a human being. The fuck? What the? I think I solved it and it didn't. Oh, my bad. What the fuck, bro? Sorry. What the fuck? How did I not have it? Mecha Overdrive. Shit. Alright. Whatever. Guess it's gone. That's bullshit. Anyways, yeah, that's the point. So it's like, would you... Where is it? Fuck. Hello? Oh. Would he treat his wife the same way? It's like... And again, these guys are like... agreeing with him, whatever. First of all, yeah, you won the lottery. Okay, you got a loving wife, whatever. You got, like, your children are old enough now that you can afford to go for a job. That's fine, right? What if she didn't have these qualities? Because, like, you have these expectations from your woman, right? It's like, oh, it wasn't an expectation. She was just doing it and was happy. Okay, if she didn't do that, would you, like, still be happy? Would you still want to support her? Would you still want to do all the things you've done for her? Would you love me if I was a worm? No, bitch, I wouldn't love you if you were a worm because you're a fucking worm. Why would I love you if you were a worm? Right? No, the reason I love you is because of the things that you are doing and because of who you are, because you want to make me happy. Not because I'm asking you to make me happy and you have to go out of your way to make me happy. That's not that's not something that, like, is appealing. It's like doing me a favor, trying to make me happy. That's not the fucking thing. Right? So yeah, if she didn't treat him this way, if she didn't do all the things he said she was doing, would you still be married to her?
You're wrong in your world, but to sit there and say to a woman, what do I get out of this woman? That's treating her like an object.
One thing.
Again, but if you didn't get these things out of your woman, would you still be married to her?
Okay, so it's okay to treat men like objects, give them duties, but you're not allowed to give women duties.
It doesn't matter if you, like, this is, like, people just don't get this point, bro. But when you are saying, I don't feel like an object, but when you are saying men have this duty, like, men have to do these things, and you equate that to not being an object, how come when you say that, you replace the word men to woman, and you say, well, then women have to do this? Oh, it's like, oh, you're treating her like an object. How does that make any sense? That is, like, the same fucking argument. It's the same as, like, when people make the racist argument, but, like, against white people, and, like, people are like, well, that's racist. Like, oh, you can't be racist against white people. Okay, fine. If you replace the word white with black, would you still be able to say that? Oh, no, that's racist. Then it is racist. Okay, if you can replace one word in the sentence and, like, you know, like one demographic in the sentence using the same exact sentence, and now it's like completely shifts the dynamics. Like, oh, now you're treating this like an object. Oh, now this is racist. Oh, now this is misogynistic. Then your argument is intrinsically the same. And this guy just doesn't get it. It's like, yeah, you have a happy fucking wife, a happy life, a happy wife, you know, and all that shit. So, oh, I don't want to treat her like an object and give her terms and conditions, but you have terms and conditions. Society is giving you terms and conditions. Oh, but that's not misandric, right? That's not a feminism talking point. But when you would try to do the same, it's like, oh, we're treating women like an object. That is so absurd.
Okay, let me ask you this.
I'm not angry
about it. In the United States that men can be drafted. Women can't be drafted, but women can vote.
I don't like this argument. First, I don't like this argument. I get the argument. I don't think it's a strong argument. I think it can relate to a lot of people. Yeah, men can be drafted. Yeah, all that stuff. I get it. But like, let's be real. When men go to work, women went to factories. Like, there's, I get it. I just don't. I don't know, man. Like, so like I talked about this in a different video about like women in politics basically, and it's like, should women be able to vote for men to go to work to war and stuff like that? Should there be like divisions of politics? I just don't think you can properly adjust it. That sounds like such a complex system to properly even manage. Like, well, women can only be in this part of politics. How do you make that to not feel like it's misogynistic or whatever? Like, you know, because like there are things that women can do in the army. You know, communications honestly are pretty good with women. Like when they're in charge of communications. Like, is it better than men? I don't know. Like, I don't have the fucking research, but like, there are plenty of things women can do in the army that you know. But like, yeah, the ones who are actively doing the fighting would be the men. But also, realistically speaking, a lot of the fighting is not done with men on the front lines anymore. So, you know, if a woman is good at like fucking flying a drone, she's just as capable as a man in that regard, right? It's like, I feel like this argument would make more sense 200 years ago. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense now. Or like, it makes sense, it's just not as strong. But yeah, my this was like basically like the last point I want to talk about, which is like this guy. It's like, oh well, my wife did this, and we have 2 happy kids, and now she's working, yada yada yada. And it's like, yeah, but if she didn't do all of that, would you still be with your wife? No? Okay, so you have a certain expectations from your wife. Okay, cool. So do you consider that treating her as an object? No, obviously not, right? That's not the whole argument. But yeah, anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. That is the main part I want to talk about. Fuck, man, this lasted way longer than I thought it would. It's on 20 minutes. 20 minutes in the video, fucking an hour 20 here, but whatever. But yeah, it's baffling for me because I think Tommy's overall an intelligent woman, and I think the only reason these people are not getting the point, or like not willing to listen to what Andrew is saying, is because Andrew is so antagonistic. I feel like he's been in too many debates with people like Destiny, like the people, like the girls in the whatever podcast, that he became so antagonistic. And it's like, the way he speaks, it's not even, it's direct, sure, but it just feels so antagonistic. Like, I would not want to agree with him, even if I agreed with him 100%. If I was like one of them, I would just like try to not agree with him, just because I don't want to agree with somebody who's like talking at me and not talking to me, if that makes sense, right? Which is, by the way, what Tommy was doing to him. Like, she was also talking at him and not to him, kind of thing. He is the only one who talked in a normal manner, where it's like trying to get to an understanding, but his point was flawed. And again, my opinion, because of how Andrew talks, the point was lost on him as well. Right? But like, yeah, man. Piers is just enjoying the show. I love it like that. You can just host like a bunch of random people, give them a topic, and just like let them go to town, and you have like a full show out of it. it's like brilliant. It is brilliant. Piers, well done. That is just fucking brilliant. You know, I don't even have to do anything. It's like sometimes add a commentary, and then oh, Tommy, what do you think? Gay guy, what do you think? But yeah, it is pretty fucking funny. Anyways, that's it.